Creeping quietly through the night, a vampire finds its heart's delight. Breathing softly in its sleep, the prey knows not what's in the deep. With slash and prick, the wound is cut. The sanguine morsel in its gut is not enough to satisfy this parasite, the rat that flies. But those who trade in scarlet know that darkness causes fear to grow, and rest extracts a heavy fee in life, death, and taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy, your 30 minutes of interesting animal info. I'm Joe.
I'm Carlos.
And today we are talking about a dark and mysterious creature that's the subject of frightening folklore and spooky stories. But more on that later.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. If you're listening to this the day it comes out.
Comes out on... Halloween comes out on Wednesday?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Halloween comes out on a Wednesday this year.
Okay. Smack dab in the middle of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready. And today we're talking about the vampire bat. The spookiest bat. It's well known.
Yeah, everybody knows the vampire bat, but do they know everything about the vampire bat? Well, they're about to.
It's freaking bats. I love Halloween.
The vampire bat is also known as, in LD taxonomy lore, as, so I gotta throw away, the sanguine sucker.
I like it.
Do you?
It's decent.
Okay. Blood-loving sky puppies. And night butterflies.
Oh, that's good. Did you?
No, I didn't come up with that one.
Okay.
That's a Bob's Burgers joke.
Oh, okay.
Where they're in Florida, and Tina's like, is there such thing as night butterflies? Please say yes. And then they get attacked by a bunch of bats.
Wouldn't, moths be night butterflies?
Yeah, but if you had never seen a bat before...
They do have that kind of flap.
You'd be like, oh, look, butterflies. Screeching butterflies. But yeah, those are my nicknames. But what does science say?
What does science call them? Let's find out.
Let's do a science on this one.
Here is the taxonomy. Let's break it down. They come from the kingdom which you all know, love, and exist inside of. Animalia.
Hooray!
You are also huge fans of chordata because it helps you stand.
Unless you're an actual fan, a sea fan, and then you're not a fan. you don't like chordata.
Or you're fine with it. You don't identify with it. Class, you're in the Mammalia, and so are they.
Cool.
And here's where we diverge. They're in the order Chiroptera.
Yep.
So when they have a bad back and they go in for some Chiroptera. Chiropractic.
It sounds like like a chiropractor and a martial art.
Yeah. It's what that guy practices who punches Batman's back and fixes it.
Spoiler alert.
In what? Who could say? Also, Batman, full circle.
Very true. That worked out perfectly.
They're in the family Phyllostomidae. Yeah, Phyllostomidae.
2 L's there.
Phyllostomidae.
Those are leaf-nosed bats. Those are the bats. So there's cute bats, and then there's these bats. These are the ones that look like...
They could be cute.
These are the ones, they look like you cut off their snout.
It does. It looks like something bad happened to them.
Yeah.
Genus Desmodus.
Desmond.
And the species is Rotundus.
I don't understand this one. It's not the fattest bat.
Desmodus rotundus. It must mean something round.
Yeah, but it's got a leaf nose. It's got pointy ears.
Round head.
Sure, but don't most bats?
Well, some of them are long. They have long snouts. They have short snouts, so they're just a little round head.
Sure, but all of the vampire bats have leaf nose.
It should be Rotundus cephalophus or something.
Rotuncephalus.
Cephalotundus.
So Desmodus rotundus is the binomial nomenclature for the common vampire rat.
That's
right.
Which is
one of 3 vampire rats.
One of 3, indeed.
I've said rat 3 times now.
Vampire sky rat. Although people call pigeons sky rats. So
the winged vermin.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear some things about it.
Okay.
In case you have somehow never seen a vampire bat in a picture or on television, or in movies, or in magazines, or in books.
Any other media outlets, channels you want to...
Pamphlets.
Vampire bat brochures.
Yeah. Here is a description. I finished my sentence that I said it 100 years ago. The vampire bat is a small, short-furred bat with big ears and impetuous attitude. I can't...
Really?
I can't 100% say that's true.
You can't vouch for its attitude?
They do kind of fly in a not 100% direct way, so you could say that their movements are impetuous.
We knew for sure that the daddy longlegs was gregarious, so
Yeah.
we're it's not that much of a stretch here.
Okay, so their fur is brown, and they have gray underbellies. Their signature aquiline features inspire the facial features of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
He does say every time Dracula comes into the picture, into the frame of the mind when you're reading the book.
Yeah,
He says the word aquiline.
and which means
Pointy?
pointy or like angular.
Yeah.
So I guess it refers to the point of their nose, the top of their nose, or their pointy ears, or
Like
something like that.
like a Disney villain, a Disney cartoon villain. You can always identify them by how pointy they're drawn.
Aquiline, yeah.
Yeah.
They have short conical faces with snubbed noses that turn up like a pig, and they're shaped like
Leaves,
leaves.
which makes them ugly or cute. You can make an argument.
Yeah, they're so ugly that they're cute.
Like a pug.
Yeah,
Sure.
they're pugly. Their ears are long and stand straight up. They have small black beady eyes that are less formidable than their ears when it comes to making their way through the darkness, guided toward a beating heart.
I'm gonna let that slide.
But contrary to popular idioms, they have relatively good eyesight. These bats are not blind as bats.
They
Actually,
are
they're exactly blind
as blind as me.
Yeah.
They're not blind, is the idea.
So, we come to a segment within a show, within a segment of the show.
We're already here.
We're already here.
But I just got comfortable.
We'll get comfortable with this. We are going to talk about the listener's favorite part of the show, which will be introduced by submission.
The entire choir
Yeah.
at First Presbyterian Church of Coral Springs.
That's right.
Thank you guys for your submission.
We went from 2 kids to having just a drought of no submissions to a full choir.
We actually have quite a few submissions, so like if anyone wants to contribute more, you can just open up your voice memo app, sing, say, scream, whisper, whatever, measure up, click save, and then there's a little button to just email it to ldtaxonomy@gmail.com, which is what we have today for you. So,
Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show. That was great. That was excellent.
it's a little alarming, just all those people.
It'll be. I'm assuming it was real nice with the reverb on it. It was great.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's first talk about their wingspan. It's 18 centimeters or 7 inches. How many vampire bat wingspans go into the height of Michael Keaton?
Okay.
Here's a hint.
No.
Michael Keaton turned down $15 million to play the world's broodiest detective in Batman 3 because he thought the story was, quote, just awful.
But he already played the world's broodiest detective.
Yes, but he saw the script for Batman 3 and was like, this is trash.
He's too broody. I don't
Yeah.
like it.
Broody and the Blowfish.
All right, so I'm gonna say 6 feet tall because that's, if you're gonna get an actor to play Batman, I feel like that's a good height. Although I think Christian Bale's relatively short. But anyway, maybe I'm thinking of Tom Cruise. So 6 feet tall, 7 inches is the wingspan of this bat.
Yes.
So 12.5.
12.5. Not super far off. The answer is 9.7. Michael Keaton is 5'9", or 175 centimeters.
I feel like I should have been closer.
You guessed 6 feet. That's several inches higher.
I know, but I guessed 12 bats.
9.7 bats. That's pretty close.
So my estimation would put him at 7 feet 2 inches. So this is way up. Yeah, you were right.
All right. Moving on to their hunting range. Vampire bats will hunt 5 to 8 kilometers, or 3.1 to 5 miles from their roosts. Let's average that about 7 kilometers, or 4.3 miles. How many vampire bat ranges go into Singapore Airlines flights 2221, the record longest scheduled commercial flight by Great Circle Distance? Great Circle Distance is as opposed to like ground distance.
The Great Circle of Life?
It just refers to like the shortest distance on a sphere,
the Coriolis
rather
effect.
than like how much ground distance it covered.
Okay. I'm assuming that's like Singapore to Los Angeles or something like that is probably the longest flight.
Would you like a hint then?
No.
This flight happened 12 days ago.
All right.
It was actually from Singapore to Newark.
In New Jersey? Huh. That is a long flight.
Now you're thinking, yeah, it is.
I mean,
But it happened 12 days ago. The record was set 12 days ago. October
10th?
12th, yeah.
10th.
10th, 11th? 11th. It was on the 11th.
Wow. So you said 3 miles for this, for the vampire bats hunting range?
Yeah. No, 4.3. Or 7
miles.
kilometers.
Okay. For some reason, when I think of the circumference of the Earth, I think of 148,000 miles.
For some reason.
For some reason, I think I've recently saw it somewhere, but
We've talked about it.
have we?
Pretty
The
sure.
circumference of the Earth?
Yeah, right?
So let's take half of that, and that'll put us at 74,000 miles. Singapore to Newark, that seems like it's the entire half of the globe, right? So, now I have to divide 72,000 or 74,000 by 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'll do in my mechanical head, aka my phone. I'm going to say 16,444.4444.
So the
Just a number I pulled out of my head.
So the distance is 15,344 kilometers, or 9,534 miles.
I was unbelievably wrong.
Yeah. So the answer is 2,192 bats, or bat flights rather.
I was off by 8 times that much.
Because there's a huge difference apparently between
Ground distance and the
Great Circle Distance.
Great Circle. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever hearing of that
Same.
distance measurement. So,
But that's it. That's all I got.
okay. That was
for Measure
rough.
Up. It wasn't even like I didn't even go in swinging for the fences in this one. Last time I was, and you nailed it.
I still have to deal with things in the thousands.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that
And just virtually like unknowable variables.
the last time was so unknowable that I guessed literally into the blue, not literally, but I guessed into the blue, and it worked out. This one I actually tried to think through, and that always comes to bite me
This time you guessed
like a vampire
into
bat.
the blue, literally the wild blue yonder.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some fast facts.
To the wild blue yonder.
Vampire bats are nocturnal, and they spend most of their days sleeping in caves, trees, abandoned buildings, wells, and mines. They are social animals and live in colonies. Male bats will fight for and guard roosting sites that attract females. So the top females will get the best roosting sites, and the top males will be there when they arrive. So the elites get elitier. Females give birth once a year. They raise the young pretty much on their own, and they only leave them to hunt. The babies will join mom when they are 6 months old, but they won't be fully weaned for another, 6 months. Don't quote me on that.
Too late.
Bats will share food by regurgitation with their young, but also with family members and friends.
It's a good social bonding exercise that I think that we should implement.
We should vomit blood into each other's mouths. I'll cut that out because that's a spoiler alert.
I don't think it's a spoiler alert. They're called vampire bats.
So they also groom each other and may share food in exchange for grooming. So that's nice of them.
This is a lose-lose situation.
So some studies have suggested that they examine each other's belly size to decide whether their grooming partners need extra food. So you're looking a little thin around the haunches.
Here's some sandwiches. By sandwiches, I mean vomit blood.
Most of the rabies cases in the U.S. are caused by bats. But only 6% of bats that are caught, which they're usually only caught because they're sick or injured or slow, only 6% have rabies. So most bats don't have rabies. But if you're bitten by a bat, it should definitely...
a possibility there.
Yeah. A 6%. Probably more than 6. Who could say? Percentages are crazy. But that's all I got. I do have more on folklore, but I can address that after the major fact.
All right. It's time for the major fact. This is the second time that I've done the major fact for an animal that primarily deals or wields blood.
Deals or wields?
Dealing and wielding. So this is a disclaimer. If anyone is squeamish about blood, they should leave.
Leave their cars?
Goodbye.
Well, there he goes. We're on our own.
Just kidding, I'm right here.
Batman. Alrighty.
All right. Let's talk about this thing's bloodlust. Literally. So
let's literally talk about it.
Now that everyone who loves blood is here, all three species of the vampire bats, which I don't think you mentioned the other two.
No.
They feed exclusively on blood. I think one's called the hairy-legged
One is called the hairy-legged bat, and the other is the white-haired or white vampire bat.
Yeah.
And it's got white fur, and it's kind of adorable.
More adorable, hopefully.
More adorable, yeah.
So this feeding exclusively on blood is called... Well, it's called hematophagy. So that can be either, hematophagy or hematophagy.
The pronunciation, or there are two different types?
The pronunciation.
Oh.
There were no
I like
accents.
hematophagy.
Hematophagy, that sounds right. Like hematology?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes these guys a kind of parasite that is considered a micropredator because it has multiple hosts simultaneously. It doesn't just latch onto one host and then that's its life, like a lamprey or a tapeworm. It will just feed on one host and then go on to the next one. Being hematophagic
that sounds good.
is problematic for most animals because a liquid-only diet overwhelms the kidneys and bladders, so that's rough. Blood is also high in iron, so you could get iron poisoning if you only drank blood. It's also high in protein, so you could have excess protein, which is a problem. So here, let me paint a picture for how the vamps finds and feeds. So it's flying around, and it sees a sleeping mammal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the common vampire bat does not discriminate. Any warm-blooded animal is on the menu.
Yeah.
But I think the white vampire bat only really drinks the blood of birds and goats,
Oh, wow.
which is really specific. And I feel like it's a lot easier to sneak a little morsel out of a goat than a bird.
I feel like you have to kill the bird.
Yeah.
Unless it's a huge bird like a duck.
Still, like, I don't know. But yeah, so they're particular, and they found that that the white vampire bat would not survive on a cattle blood diet in lab tests.
Huh.
So he's flying around. He sees, let's say, an ox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I said ox.
Ox could be any beast of burden.
Any beast that's put to work. So he sees an ox, flies down, and you would think it lands right on the animal, right? Nope. It lands a little bit away. Approaches on foot.
It wants to, get a good look, scout mission.
One if by land. Yes.
Two if by air.
But just only by land.
Okay.
Because it doesn't want to land directly on the animal, it'll wake it up. So it wants to land kind of, a distance away, sneak up with its creepy, bat wings on the ground.
They have thumbs with little claws that come out of the top of their wing that allow them to, shimmy shake around.
I know, I saw it on Stella Luna. The illustrated children's book about a fruit bat that gets separated from her mother.
Wow.
And gets attacked by an owl.
Okay.
So there's that to think about. So once it's pretty close to its prey, it will use its thermoreceptors, which I definitely want to talk about heat vision later on for some other animals. But the vampire bat can sense where spots on the animal are hotter than others, and the hotter spots mean
blood is running close to the surface.
Yeah.
So ears, feet, hands, the head area.
Yeah, the hands of your average ox.
Ox hands,
Maybe the glute or the flank or something like that, or the stomach, or there might be just some place where it's closer than others. I bet you the back isn't a good place. But I couldn't tell you because I don't have thermovision. Which sounds like a patented company for vampire bats. Get thermovision.
Here at Thermovision.
Do you have thermoreceptor dysfunction?
We get you to the blood that's closest to the surface every time, guaranteed.
So they find their juicy spot, and they create a small incision with their just razor sharp teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And their canines have no enamel on them. So you and I have got enamel on our teeth, protects them, but also makes it so that they're not super sharp. They have this glossy coating.
Yeah.
They do not have this, so their teeth are razor sharp. And they don't do a lot of chewing, so their teeth remain razor sharp unless they, try to bite something for some reason. But if they try to bite something, a rock.
Oh, okay.
Break their teeth or whatever. But so they use their razor sharp teeth to make an incision, and then their saliva is an anticoagulant, which means that it stops the blood from clotting.
It's okay.
I'm trying to power through this. Stops it from clotting, and if you see my notes, my handwriting gets so much worse as I write this. And it keeps the blood flowing more, and they can lap it up. And so they don't suck the blood. They make a wound, and then they lick it up as it comes out.
Yeah.
And it's like a hypodermic needle. If you're a giant animal that's asleep, you're probably not even going to feel this. It's kind of like a mosquito, where you kind of feel it once it's already gotten what it wants.
Right.
From you. So the average female weighs about 40 grams, which I thought you were going to do measure up on, so I wrote 40 grams here, but
nope.
Whatever.
I'm anticipating you.
It can drink 20 grams of blood in one sitting. It can drink half its body weight.
So that's why they can tell by their little pot bellies whether they need food or not.
Yeah, they just gorge themselves on this stuff. And can you imagine eating half your body weight? I'd have to eat 100 pounds worth of food.
Blood.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that is disgusting. And then they fly away. They can still fly after like increasing their body weight by 50%. And they do this because they can digest the blood really quickly.
You're going to go to the bathroom after that.
Did you just come up with that?
Yeah.
I'm so proud. You're very good.
Wow.
Can we put in a round of applause in post? I wish I thought of that for my some sort of joke with that, but good job. I'm glad they didn't go unspoken. But they do go to the bathroom after that. They do really guano.
Yeah. Yeah.
They start urinating within 2 minutes of feasting.
Oh, you have this as this is legit.
Yes, this is legit.
Oh wow.
They can't, like, it has to leave their bodies.
Yeah.
Because they do need to process.
So they metabolize pretty quickly.
Very quickly. So that's the story of the horrifying and disgusting blood sky puppies.
Okay.
And that's all I got, and that's all I want to say. And I want to go home.
Okay, let's talk about some folklore.
Okay.
So long before the vampire bat was taxonomized in 1810, bats were deeply entrenched in folklore as spiritual omens. So all vampire bats, all three species, are native to the Americas, but bats were deep in folklore as like these mysterious spiritual creatures far back in Europe where there are no vampire bats.
Interesting.
And it's mostly because, along with owls, their nocturnal natures gave them mysterious qualities that lent themselves to being in tall tales and scary stories.
Yeah. Wolves are also in tall tales and scary stories, and they're nocturnal. So
yeah.
Just anything, any creatures of the night.
Wolves are nocturnal?
Yeah, they howl at the moon.
So
they gotta be awake to howl.
I've only ever seen wolf videos in the day.
It's because it's easier to see them in video in the day.
Perhaps. They weren't specifically attached to vampires until the discovery of the vampire bat. So there's vampire mythology for far before vampire bats. Mm-hmm. There's there's bat mythology far before vampire bats, and they were merged once they discovered these bats that suck blood.
That's really interesting.
Here's what's even more interesting. In 1810, that's before Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is in...
I think 1840-ish times.
Yeah.
Or is it later?
It might be even later.
Okay. Or maybe 1870s. I think it may be that. Whatever, continue.
So, but Bram Stoker was the first person to write about vampires as... He's the first person to, like, mix the two. Before Bram Stoker, vampires kind of absorbed energy in stories. They absorbed energy or stole life force by osmosis.
When really it was tuberculosis.
Right. Or by being just near you. Or, in the town. There's a vampire in the town. That's why little Johnny is dying. Mm-hmm. Or it seems to be draining, but it's really tuberculosis or consumption. So Bram Stoker was the first person to say, nah. Vampires drink blood and pierce, they bite you and leave these two telltale pinpricks just like an actual vampire bat does. Mm-hmm. So vampire bats also actively prey on humans. And by prey, I mean they bite them and drink their blood.
Great. Love it.
So Bram Stoker was the first person to make the vampire story more like a bat. So you've got the vampire name predating the bat, but you've got what we know to be a vampire predating
our knowledge of the bat.
Our knowledge of the bat. But the bat, it's funny because the bat kind of changed the way we look at vampires. It turned it into like the aquiline features, which are like a bat. They can transform into bats, which is a Dracula thing, and then
So
they drink blood.
We had this vampire mythology going, and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a bat out there that does this exact thing we're talking about, and now essentially vampires are like shape-shifting bats.
No, because before that they didn't drink blood. The bat gave us that
They
idea.
drain your life energy, which is your blood.
Yes.
So yes, you become paler.
Yeah.
You eventually die
Yeah.
because you have tuberculosis.
Yeah. So there you go. The bat is why vampires do vampire things.
Interesting.
And
movies,
the vampire is why the vampire bat is called the vampire bat.
But vampires suck blood, and these guys lap it up.
Do they literally have like little holes in their teeth where they suck it up like straws?
In vampire movies?
Yeah.
You've probably seen as many vampire movies as I
Well,
have.
you read Dracula.
Yeah. It doesn't. It just says the 2 pinpricks. So the assumption is that either he did the vampire bat thing where he makes the incision and then just laps it up, which would be really awkward to film.
Well, humans just tend to drink differently than animals. We don't lap things up. We pour things in or suck them up.
Yeah, I guess you can make the incision and then just like suck it out like you're like there's
poison.
rattlesnake venom
Yeah.
or something like that. I am so done talking about this.
You got spooked by our spooky episode.
Oh, not spooked, grossed out. And he started off bad with the
Potato
blood vomit.
tomato.
Yeah. I don't want to yoke anybody's yak, but that's some pretty gross stuff. But some people do eat and drink blood.
Yeah.
The black pudding is
Yeah.
just like coagulated
Pig's blood.
pig's blood, yeah, which you can find at your local grocer in the UK. I haven't tried it. Probably never will. But yeah, so that's all for the vampire bat, thank goodness. So take flight. Turn on your heat vision, but don't be a parasite like the vampire bat in Life, Death, and Taxonomy. We want to flourish here in the cutthroat land of Podcastia. Unfortunately, we are stellivores. We only thrive on the stars left by people who truly appreciate our show. Help us to stay alive by logging on to your favorite podcasting app and leaving a review. All it has to say is great, or best podcast ever, or funniest hosts. But whatever you want to put is good too, I guess. You can also really help us out by telling people about our show. People who might be interested in a weekly dose of taxonomical trivia on their commute to work or school. Anyway, thanks for listening to us ramble about stuff we found on the internet. See you next week.
You got an intro?
Yeah.
No intro, homie. You
poem.
already know me.
What?
That's a rap.